So I asked myself one simple question. What would happen if I had the same time I spent at work doing the 9 to 5, working, or being on between 50 to 60 hours a week, and that's including weekends. And what if I used that same time on the passion projects, on the goals, on the ambitions, and on the dreams? What would happen? Well, that's my plan. It's been exactly now 365 days since I decided to take a chance on me. And if you're new here, if you have no idea, basically back on the 11th of January 2021, I revealed to everyone that I was taking a chance on me, that I had decided to step away from my 9 to 5 gig, from my corporate job, to take basically a year off and with no income, and just spend a year pursuing my goals and seeing what would happen if I spent the same amount of time as if I was working, but on the goals, on the passions, and on the dreams that I had and have at the time. And this video is basically a year later to tell you how did I go, what have I been doing, if you haven't been actually following along, and I want to take you through all the details, all the transparency, what worked, what didn't work, what I've learnt. But before I get to that, I do want to just give some context of, how I got to this point, if you are watching this for the first time or coming along to this channel and seeing this journey for the first time. The two things I want to cover first is why I did this, and then secondly is actually then doing it. And the first part being, well, back in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I was working from home, and I'd been working from home for a while. I guess it came to the middle of the year. Essentially, it was around June, and I started to really just start to question a few things, and it was a combination of everything that was going on in the world, and just working long hours. And there was nothing wrong with my job. My job was great. It's, I had a 6-figure salary, plenty of perks, and some of the best people to work with. But there was always an itch, and I've always had an itch ever since I left university. And I had been scratching it for years, but I never really got anything beyond that. Just dabbling in a few things here, trying different businesses or working on some passion goals or doing things on the side, but never enough time to really get anything off the ground. And, we all have goals, we all have dreams and ambitions, and sometimes it's just that, oh, I'll do that one day kind of thought. And, well, really, I eventually just snapped at myself and came to the realization that life is short. And it was the combination of everything that was going on in the world, working long hours and working at home. I realized that, well, a 6-figure salary is great, but if you can't do anything with it, what's the point? And I realized there needed to be a change, and if I didn't make the change and no one else was going to make the change for me, then nothing would ever change. And so I did. It took me a little bit to build up the courage to have the conversation with my boss, but 3 months out of December 2020, in September basically, I sat down with my boss, and we both agreed that I would transition out, and I finished up at the end of December, and revealed to everyone on January 11th 2021 that I was taking this chance on myself. And then it was the reality. It was in play. We were having this conversation a year ago, saying what I wanted to do, and basically it meant I was on a leave of absence. There was a little bit of paid leave there, but majority of the time of this year has been unpaid leave, and it meant I had to focus on the things that I had set out to do and all these goals, and I had to see what I could do, which is the second point of actually doing it. Getting to this point, I actually had to really go through a few conversations, tough conversations with myself, and then that, this isn't a matter of just, going in with one leg in and one leg out, because it was kind of one of those chances where it was an opportunity of a lifetime, just due to all the circumstances and the, just my living arrangements and things like that. So I had to ask myself, how long could I live off my savings? Worst case, how long would that take, and what would that look like, and what would I need to do, and what would I want to do, and what happens if this doesn't go to plan? And all these things were in my mind, and I really broke it down to these couple of things. Was worst case, I fail, but I won't have regret. Worst case, I fail, and I can go back to work. I can get a job. There's no problem with that. And worst case again is I learn so much, because even if I fail, even if I don't enjoy what I've done, I don't have regret, and I would have learned so much of trying to achieve my goals, dreams, and passions and ambitions. So best case, it's the best year that I have, and it was. So what were my intentions? Well, if you haven't seen the video that I dropped basically a year ago, my goals for 2021, it really came down to a few different categories. It was start a podcast, it was supplement my lifestyle with a business, meaning I didn't have an income, I need to be able to pay bills and still live and, chase all these dreams and goals. Run my first ultra marathon, which was 50 kilometers, and to grow my YouTube to 1,000 subscribers and get monetization. That was the bulk of it, and there's plenty more which you can see up on screen. And we're going to go through each one of these. I'm going to reveal to you how I went, what worked, what didn't, 100% transparency, and let's dive into it. Did I succeed? Did I fail? What worked, what didn't? Let's jump into it. So I guess the first goals that I want to quickly touch on, and I'm going to chuck them all up on screen, was I had the ultra marathon, which was 50K. I completed that. You can check out this video here. That was my best run ever. I kid you not, it was the best experience. I had a goal to do a half marathon every single month for the 12 months, and I did that. You can see this actually in revealing all my results for my running goals for 2021. Average 10 kilometers per run. When I did run, I missed this by about 0.4 of a kilometer in an average perspective, so that was a no. I hit 2,000 kilometers, that was a goal, and I got it perfectly. And to lower my HR, which actually I forgot about this one, but I actually went back and had a look, and I started the year at an average heart rate when running at 146 and ended it with 137. The next one was my reselling goals, which was basically to create a business that could supplement my lifestyle. And there was two real main goals around this, and all this is documented from, I started documenting basically from, well, every month I was sharing my results, but then as I started to progress into the year, I basically shared every week onwards. And the first goal was in 30 days to do $1,900 in revenue, and I did manage to do that. I did around 2,100, and then my second goal was a very ambitious goal, was to do $100,000 in revenue for 2021, and I didn't hit that. I missed it big time, but I did manage to do around $51,400 in revenue. And once again, all this is documented. You can go have a look at these videos. But to look at that, I remember starting that reselling journey. My first couple of weeks on average were around $300, $400. And literally in my last week of this 52-week progress, I ended up doing around $3,000. So that progression has just been unreal. The next area was around my podcast. I wanted to basically turn my lifestyle clothing brand that I had been building on for about 5 years into a podcast, which had been a dream for a very long time. I had to launch it by February 2021, which I did. Got that launched to have one guest each month for the subsequent months that I did from basically February to December, which would have meant 11 guests. I ended up having 22 guests, ended up having 22 guests, and also ended up with 43 episodes. The other goal was to have 100 active listeners. The only way I could pull this data was to have a look at Spotify, and on that it shows that I had 72, so didn't kind of meet that goal, but hey, I'm still pretty happy with that. 72 people on a regular basis showing up and listening to this podcast, which has just been the best thing ever. And that podcast is Further Your Lifestyle. You can go check it out. All the details, there's a YouTube channel for it, there's a Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, all great places. I would greatly appreciate it if you check it out. The next one was my YouTube goals, and this had been a goal that I wanted to achieve for a very long time, was to hit 1,000 subscribers, and we did it. We hit actually 1,139 for the end of the year. And the second goal was to get monetization, which I got. I've now earned a little bit of money. Not that much. It was just probably a max of about $150 in total, I think it was. You can see it up on screen. And I had a goal to do $500 in a single month of monetization revenue, which didn't happen. And the best month I think was around $50 to $60. So didn't quite reach that one. Outside of these, I did have a number of other life goals and other goals, and these ranged between, increasing my share portfolio by 43%, or basically I wanted to grow it to $400,000, which I managed to do. I landed on $427,000 at the end of 2021, and I've been sharing that on a monthly progress update in my live streams. If you want to see those kind of live streams, I'll be doing them every month going forward. I wanted to complete 3 video games because I hadn't completed a video game in so long, so I had a goal to do 3, and I did 3. I did Star Wars Fallen Order. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, it's up on screen. I've forgotten the name. Mario Odyssey on Switch, and then the third game was It Takes Two. Great game to play, by the way. That got game of the year. And then the other goal that I had was to listen to 12 audiobooks, and I managed to do 13. You can see them all up on screen. If you want to click through to see any of those, you can dive down into the description below. Highly recommend all those books. They have been, just life-changing and game-changing kind of books to just get new perspectives and understandings into different areas across life. And the final goal in the life area, I guess, was to play my drums. I hadn't played my drums for a very long time, and I wanted to use this time to do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it at all. Do I regret it? No. And there's still time for that. That's okay. So that's all my goals. That's a rundown. And I wanted to really just show up and share with you all that this has been the best year yet, simply because, not because of the results I've got or the money I've earned or the achievements or the progress, but more so because I did it. I took a chance on myself and I've been able to grow. And when I look back and watch some of the videos that I've done at the start of 2021 and reflect back of just how I feel and looking back of what I was doing and how I was feeling when creating those videos, it makes me see and understand how much I have been able to grow and I guess progress along the lines of where I wanted to be. Now, obviously, I did not hit all the goals, and that's okay. At the end of the day, it's not always about the destination, but the journey there. And the reason why I wanted to show up and share this with you is, one, well, obviously to make sure I do show up and be honest and you know, check myself before I wreck myself, but also to play it back for those that maybe didn't know what I was doing or didn't think I could do it or wasn't even sure what this meant. And at the end of the day, what happens now is, well, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to continue on. I've taken another year off, and I'm going to continue to further out these goals and further out my dreams and further out my ambitions. And I'll be talking about those goals shortly on this channel. I'll probably have that video out in the next week or so, breaking down what I plan to achieve and what I want to pursue. But a lot of it's more of the same, but in different areas. And my other real focus of this video is, if there's anything you take away from it, it's got nothing to do with me, but more so to do with you, is, you know, if you have an itch, if there's something that you've always wanted to do, or if there's something there that you're always thinking about, you got to ask yourself, the big question is, what is stopping you from making this happen? And what do you think could happen if you actually did take the chance on yourself? If you dedicated time to these areas, or just dedicated time to this one area? Think about it. Like, seriously think about it. Like, if you are spending X amount of time working, if you're spending X amount of time watching Netflix, if you're spending however long it is doing things that you know you probably shouldn't be doing, or could be using your time better. And I'm not here to judge, and I'm not here to make you feel bad. If that's what you enjoy doing, that's fine. But if there's something that you really want and you think about it, you'll do it one day. That one day is only going to come if you do something about it. And that's really what I wanted to be able to do, is use this last year to come back and say, hey, look, this is what I've achieved, this is what I've done, and hopefully encourage you to do something of the same. And if you're curious about this and you want to do something like this and you don't know where to start, let's have a conversation, let's chat. And there's so many different ways we can connect and interact. And that's really what I wanted to play back as well, is how I can connect with you and how I can help you, even if it is just having a conversation or just being a bouncing board for something that maybe you're thinking about. So if you're keen to follow along and continue to follow along of what I'm going to be doing over the next year, I have this YouTube channel, basically 3 videos a week at this point. You can subscribe to the YouTube and follow that journey where I document and share progress and different things in life, mainly running, reselling and everything in between, but lifestyle in general. You can subscribe to the podcast, Further Your Lifestyle Podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those great places. It does have its own YouTube as well. You can follow me on my Instagram, where I almost do daily updates of just progression, what I did in a day in a life, and just things that I'm getting up to, and just sharing the journey, the grind, and the things that I like to do. And you can drop me a message there, or direct message me there if you want to have a conversation. Otherwise, the next best place is join my newsletter. I have a newsletter that I send out every Monday at 9 p.m, just basically playing back what I've been thinking about, some of the progression of the week. And I do all these different styles because I know everyone loves to listen, loves to consume, and loves to take this content in a different way. We're not all people that like to watch things. Some of us like to listen and some of us like to read. So there's something for everyone. And if you don't want to, that's fine as well. But the opportunity is there for me to be able to help and encourage and share the journey, and hopefully inspire you to do something of the same, and to take a chance on yourself and pursue those dreams, because, you know, it seriously has been the best thing I've done. And I would love for you to be able to feel that experience for yourself. So come along for the ride, come along for another year. Be lots of different things happening, lots of exciting stuff that I'm working on and wanting to achieve. And whether I achieve them all or not, it's once again, it's not necessarily about getting that perfect result, but going for it and seeing what I can learn along the way. And I would love to have you come along for that journey. So if you've been here since day one of this journey, which was back on 11th of January 2021. Let me know below in the comments. Otherwise, if you're new here and you're curious to see, or if you've got questions about any of this, anything, I want to try and be an open book, so I will do my best to answer any questions and continue the conversation in the comments below. Otherwise, yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do the whole shebang, and hustle. Ciao.